Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Andy, haven't gotten the chance to say Happy New Year to you. I hope your day was as delightful as mine. Football betting is going well, and
almost stayed up till midnight.
I saw East Coast New Year.
Oh my god! So yeah, I did too. That's what we just like. Should we celebrate at 11?
Of course you should.
We went to. I took my daughter to the Timberwolves game. She thoroughly enjoyed the first half when they were up by like 25 points. And she's like, "Oh, Dad, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose." And I tried to like cheer her up. I'm like, "Shit, they're gonna lose. This is so bad." Boy. Like they just stopped shooting well.
Classic Timberwolves, yeah.
Which Bogdanovich do they have?
The Timberwolves?
No, the Pistons.
Oh, the Pistons have Boyan.
Boy, that guy is.
I am not sure.
he's a menace. Like he's just pesky. Very like you let him get going and he's a problem. Which is there's not a lot of that on the Pistons, but he was a problem. But yeah, I enjoyed that. And then I let my son take my wife out on a date while I was doing that. And then I met up with her later at the bar. And here I am again. Wife is full on like just tearing down Christmas at this point. I had to leave the house early. It was like, it's just a mess because she's just tearing down everything that's Christmas. So hopefully it's clean when I get home. Boy, that sounded very, very misogynistic.
Wow, dude.
Better have that house
Holy
clean.
Shit.
Well, yeah. If she's gonna make a mess, she should pick up. So I'll do the dishes when I get home as an apology for that. But yes, it was kind of a fun afternoon. I had some pretty good results. The most annoying result was probably the late touchdown. I had an under in the Miami game that deserved a better fate. I was never really worried about the Jets under once I watched part of that game. I'm like, this is probably coming home anyway, even though they had a flurry, and then the Cleveland under got a little squirrely. I put some cabbage on that, and Cleveland kept scoring touchdowns. I'm like, you're not supposed to do this because, and I wrote this down somewhere. If you take out the defensive and special teams scores they've had since Watson's been back, it's like 9.5 points per game. The Browns offense, it's not been good. So, and we'll talk a little about awards as we go, but let's start recapping, buddy.
People are bringing up the thing that is first and foremost on my mind, which is that Sirianni has fumbled the bag on Coach of the Year.
But Shanahan's kind of semi-fumbling it too.
I mean, Shanahan's fumbling it too, which means the door is wide open for one Mr. Brian Daboll. And while that was the highlight of the day, seeing Brian Daboll celebrate on the sideline was so freaking cool. Like seeing him get dunked and seeing this team like reach any kind of potential that was completely unexpected when the season started is very cool.
And that was not only that because I bet it. Like I was happy to see the Giants win, but they put on a nice show today. Kind of on all aspects of that game, they were great. But yeah, it's turning out. Who was it? It was Noops brought this up the other day on Brown Bag. It was Monty Williams and Quinn. And then all of a sudden, some asshole from New York sweeps in and wins Coach of the Year at the end.
Tibbs.
Like, are we doing a full Tibbs? And I don't want to compare him to Tibbs because I don't like Tibbs.
I still think that I mean, even though he didn't have an amazing game today specifically, like, because again, like that was all Colts. That was not Giants, guys.
No, it was
the Colts are not an NFL team. What do you need to see? What else do you need to see? That
was kind of my handicap. I'm like, they're going to start Foles again. Okay. Why is this 8?
Well, we're betting against them then. All right, let's start with the no thoughts on Thursday night, except for Josh Dobbs might be better than people realize. I don't know. Tennessee's still going to lose to the Jags, I think.
He was decent in that game for sure. He's bet like and again, teams aren't reasonable or logical for the most part. I mean, we started Wentz in a must-win game here when Heineke had been playing okay for the better part of 2 months.
Right.
So, like, they probably won't, but Dobbs is a better passer than Willis. Willis is not a throwing quarterback. So, if you need to win that game, I'd be doing that. But, yeah, not a lot of thoughts on Thursday. Good job by Tennessee to make a game of it. If you got the over 39, you were a winner. If you got the under 40.5, you're a winner. That was kind of right on the nuts with the spread and the total, honestly. So good job, the market. And Dallas with with Minnesota and the Philly losing very much has something. So even if Washington had won, they would have had to play a Dallas team that was going full effort next week instead of you get to play who was the backup that played all those weeks?
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush. So
Cooper Rush, who beat the shit out of the Commanders, by the way.
Yeah,
Carson Wentz, beat him convincingly.
That was funny too.
All right, let's go through today's slate in sincerity, and let's start rotationally, which means we got to touch on Carolina, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay solves everything.
No,
Tampa Bay is live. Not really feeling like it.
It felt similar to the Saints game, but not as compressed. Like, that was just Tampa Bay came alive for 2 drives essentially.
Oh, Stidham intercepted. Niners have it at the goal line.
Well, that game's probably pretty close to over then.
Yeah, I think so.
But anyway, a little less compressed version of that, where it's like, oh man, this is the stinky Tampa showed up and they're not going to do shit. And then, 21 fourth quarter points.
Yeah.
But this way, that was really, I guess, impressive. Brady threw for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like, very hard team to solve. Like, I loved Carolina, and I did stay away from this one anyway. It's been a puzzling team for me. This Tampa Bay team. They're when it works with these wide receivers, it's very good. Obviously, we saw the Mike Evans shit for a couple times now over the last few weeks. When it works, it works, and when it doesn't, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the thing is that the Panthers lose J.C. Horn. Panthers didn't have Horn today. Horn could have taken Evans out of the game. Evans was the difference. The connection between Tom Brady and Evans was the entire difference of the game. It's easy to look at their offensive statistics for Tampa and be like, oh, problem solved. But realistically, if there weren't some very, very, very fortunate turnovers by the Tampa defense in this game, then this might have been a very different outcome, because Panthers were in kind of put the game away mode when there were some very weird decisions by the Carolina offense in terms of pass plays that resulted in some sacks and some turnovers. Carolina lost the turnover battle 3-1 here, and realistically, that really flipped the game on its head in 2 moments that I was watching. I don't think anything is solved here for Tampa. This is still a hugely questionable operation.
Aren't they sort of? I don't think it's like, hey, this team can make a run, but aren't they sort of live to just fucking win a playoff game though?
Yeah, against the Cowboys, surely.
Well, I mean, just
maybe against the Eagles. If the Eagles can't get it done against the Giants next week.
If they go up against a defense that maybe has had some injuries, like all the defenses in the NFC.
Yeah, of course they can. Of course.
Yeah, and they're wide.
Dude,
their offense is working.
They could host the Packers in the NFC Championship game, and none of us would be surprised.
No, the NFC is really stinky.
It's so bad.
Right,
it's so bad. But Tampa, make no mistake, Tampa is not rated above an average team right now. No. Even after today's performance, even if they continue to get healthier, this is still a team that is going to struggle against good teams.
That's a full-on Golden Pond NFC title game. If it's Rodgers Brady, Jesus Christ, not watching. Yeah. Wow, I just said not watching that. Like I wouldn't watch it. I'm going to watch every second of these fucking playoffs.
Of course.
Right, what's up next?
Of course. Well, what's his name? Rodgers is going to go on a full kind of exercise his demons path this year in the playoffs. It's going to be fun.
Real quick. Darnold over the last few weeks, once they got him integrated a little into the system, they started to give him more, because at first it felt like, all right, they're just going to run because they don't trust him. Mm-hmm. He's been decent.
Yeah, pocket awareness was a problem.
It's still, I don't think he ever has a high ceiling. It was like, but there's a decent chance that Adam Gase is a bad coach, guys.
Well, breaking news.
Breaking news. Like Darnold might be a low-end starter in this league, which is more than I thought of him a couple months ago. So
yeah. The sack on 1st and 10 at the 13 where he fumbled and covered by Vita Vea at the 6. That basically put the game on ice. His interception when they were up 14-10 was also quite poor. That happened deep in Tampa territory. If you can kind of just do what you've been doing and run it down their throats and, get something out of that drive, then the next time you get the 7-drive, 91-yard touchdown, that's putting it on ice, not just you're putting it out of reach even. I don't know, man. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for making the playoffs. You deserve it, guys. Let's move on to, that was sarcastic if you couldn't tell, the Cleveland Brownies and the Washington Commanders. Now, Andy, there were a couple of bets that I won today where I feel like I definitely got away with larceny to a degree. One of those was betting against Carson Wentz laying points in the year 2022.
I feel dumb not adding this, but I'd already gone a little heavy on this. And again, we're scaling down, but then I rescaled up on this little. I'm like, the more I looked at it and the more I looked at what the Browns had done and what Carson Wentz was in his first stint as the starter here, it's like, why isn't this like 35? What are we doing with this total? So I was pretty heavy on this unders, and I avoided taking the Browns as well as a dog, but that was the call. And Watson didn't even throw for 200 yards. It was just Carson Wentz was full last week Nick Foles. Like, he just YOLO. Those interceptions were they weren't just like, oh, here's a tip ball. That's bad luck. Like, these are
it's bad. Like, you don't belong out there, buddy. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want your take on excuse me. Dan brings it up right now, the Ron Rivera thing.
Ooh, man.
Do you think it was everyone in the chat, everyone in the comments is like, oh, he was just being sarcastic? It's like, yeah, all the people that are saying that look like they're Commanders fans, and that's just straight copium. Like, I don't
of course.
I heard the thing. I don't think he knew. I don't know. It's weird, I guess.
I mean, I'm ready to put Rivera in concussion protocol. I don't know what he got into over the holidays, but he definitely could have sustained a head injury.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. I don't know if we're going to have many other opportunities in life to bet against Carson Wentz laying points, but I feel like I stole something today with that one. Because again, like, Cleveland, were they good? No, they weren't good at all. Deshaun Watson is like very, 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 very borderline as far as being a true blue NFL starter right now, which is so weird. But he got it done today overall, and he wins. I mean, this was a weird one. Your under was never really a sweat, I suppose. What do you think?
No, Chubb was good. The defense played good. Cooper got, I mean, the angle that defensive back took on, it might have been a linebacker, took on Cooper along the sideline on that one touchdown was pretty rough. Like, it probably shouldn't even add this many points, but I don't think it was like Cleveland shouldn't have won the game. They should have just won the game by a little bit less. So good job by them. And then, it's the next time we bet against Carson Wentz where we're getting points, will probably be a USFL game.
Yeah.
And also a shout out to, not that he's listening, but the best thing I saw all year so far was the PFT commenter tweet about like illegal classic Deshaun, illegal touching, which that was quite the play. He threw the ball to a fucking lineman who was just standing.
That whole play was literally like, broken. What are we doing? What is happening here? This is not professional football. New Orleans Philly is the next on the rotation order. And again, like, I feel a little bit like I got away with murder here. I took the points against Gardner Minshew, and this was never really in doubt. Now, there was some really, really questionable calls in this one. Very lopsided officiary, particularly the holding penalty that brought back the game-well touchdown. Now, it's tough to really say what butterfly effect that had ultimately on the outcome, but boy, was that a bad call. And ultimately, New Orleans got enough bounces, enough breaks that they win this one. The Gardner Minshew pick 6 at the end of the game to ice it for New Orleans was awful. He never really got comfortable at all. They had very little offense, very few offensive opportunities in the first half. It was very strange. Philadelphia continues to accrue just injury after injury after injury. You don't want to be in this part of the season and be this injured if you're Philly. And now they're facing the Giants team that's playing really well, and they need a win to clinch the East. It is not theirs yet. And I cannot really believe that this is where we stand with these guys. But I bet the Saints today to take a little bit of my liability off of all my Philly futures. And I don't know.
Do you remember how we
feels like
did it?
Watching a car accident.
Yeah, we took the Saints team total over. It wasn't
that's right. I took
great.
both. I had all kinds of Saints.
I ended up just sticking with that team total, which made me feel dumb for a while. But then
bad
throw to AJ Brown. Although the touchdown
13 points in the first halp, you were like, oh, we're in good shape here.
But the touchdown to AJ Brown was pretty amazing. Great individual effort. The Giants probably. I think the Giants might rest guys. We'll have to check that out.
I hope so, man.
Femi might be onto this. Play starters in the first half. I've seen. Those Tony Dungy teams too many times. It's like, man, I feel like these guys should have played a little last week. This is bad.
I hadn't looked at those numbers. It's really 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we know that the look ahead was 1.5. We know that Hurts is going to be available, so we're expecting Hurts at least, and to the degree that he is the entire Philly offense, apparently, that's going to.
You know who the Eagles are at this point.
Lucky to be here.
2018 Bears, who lost.
It does feel that way.
Like, holy shit, this team's good. They have a running quarterback that can't be stopped. The team is opportunistic on defense, and they get to the playoffs with that team had 12 wins, and then just.
I will say
the Eagles are a better team than
I rate the Eagles higher than I rated that Bears team
for sure,
when healthy, which they are not right now. They are not. Even AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, those guys are banged up. Dallas Goedert didn't do a goddamn thing today. Miles Sanders was in and out of the game with, he's dealing with something. Feels like Lane Johnson didn't play. He matters. Sweat went to the hospital. I don't really know what's going on with him. He matters.
That was precautionary.
No CJ, GJ,
It did sound like he was being released. That was scary.
A lot of important players from Philadelphia not playing. New Orleans, congratulations on winning. The Taysom Hill thing is weird, but it was very effective today when he was in there, particularly in the goal to go stuff. Arizona, Atlanta happened.
I watched very, very little of this one because of all the early games. It's the one that I guess mattered the least. Like the Falcons, I guess technically weren't eliminated, and they won. Good for them. If you have some Falcons win totals, I think that's probably there. Or it's close. It was probably 5 anyway. So maybe you got off your push, but didn't watch a ton of that. David Bleu threw a touchdown. Algier continues to be kind of a nice surprise. And then tell me the first name of the tight end with the last name McBride. Is it Trey McBride?
Trey, absolutely. Right. Trey McBride, yeah.
Trey McBride.
Trey.
That's where we're at with the David Bleu offense. Remember last week when we tried to do this? Oh, they were eliminated last week. Sorry. I can't. There's been so many of these teams that are like, they're 6-9, but they're not eliminated yet with one game left. But we tried to do this last week. Who's the guy that we got injured? That Derwin James destroyed.
Ashton Doolin.
Ashton Doolin. This was the game, David Bleu to Trey McBride. Apparently, he got 10 targets. Nobody got. I guess Marquise Brown actually got quite a few targets as well. But
weird game.
Not a meaningful game by any means.
Although another larceny happened here. We talked about this on the preview pod, and you were like, "Oh, Colt McCoy cleared protocols," and I was like, "Oh, fire!" Cardinals. Didn't matter. They covered. Turns out Desmond Ridder shouldn't be laying more than a field goal. Surprise! Why was Desmond Ridder laying more than a field goal?
And this was one of the better Desmond Ridder games.
He was perfectly fine today, but it still is. Atlanta's not scoring over 20 points. I'm sorry, I don't even care.
Jury out on Ridder still. I want to see him with a full complement of weapons, but I'm not super keen on this whole draft.
Atlanta had less than 300 yards of offense in this game.
Yeah.
All right. Jacksonville, Houston. How about our Jags?
So,
I mean,
yeah,
is it too late? Like, what? How do we divide up the credit for this AFC Championship for Jacksonville? I'm just like one part to Doug, 2 parts to T-Law. ETN gets a share. Do we give any to Urban Meyer for setting this up here?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, he lowered the bar. He gave us the good prices, I guess. No, and it's funny too. Like if you have DirecTV, which I guess it'll be on YouTube soon, but the 8-box thing where they put all the early games on, this is the one they left out.
Was it really?
Yeah, they totally showed the Arizona game over this. So I forgot this game was happening until it was like 21-0. Like, oh yeah, because it didn't really matter. But
two quick comments. One, this was the end of the arc. Texans tried so freaking hard for 2 weeks to get an upset against a good team. They didn't quite get it. They take care of business against the Titans. None of us should be surprised they no-showed today.
Yeah, this was rough.
The other comment was one of our friends in the chat. I think it was probably Heck or somebody who was chatting today who made the key point, which was Texans saw Bryce Young and CJ Stroud play yesterday and decided to do that.
Yeah,
and
do that.
They should have, they need the one pick. That's how you rebuild this franchise. Bryce Young would be my pick just stake my flag in a player. I think I would take Young over Stroud, but I could hear the arguments for either. Both guys absolutely killed yesterday.
Yeah, both the same knock. Like, oh, you have NFL wide receivers all the time. It's like,
both guys have a ball. Both guys have a fucking hose. They throw a sick ball.
Can we take one step back and talk about college? And I mentioned this to Dan earlier. Like, we've gone years between having one good semifinal game. Like, how many bad semifinal games have we had? Especially when the Big Ten has been.
Usually about a 75% clip that they suck.
Yeah, especially when the Big Ten is involved. Like the Connor Cook game, the year after that, there was a shutout, but there's been like 1 or 2 good semifinal games ever, and to have both of them just be
I think Ohio State Clemson stands out as one.
The Baker Mayfield
Georgia, which was Georgia Oklahoma.
That game was fun.
That's it. I think that's the list. That's the list.
Like there was a Washington Alabama game, which was absolute snoozer, but it was very, very fun. So I enjoyed that. And you're probably right. The big takeaway for me in this one, as I'm holding multiple who gets the most touch or interception passes, Davis Mills did not throw an interception, which is pretty big for
No, wait. Did he not really? Did he get a fumble?
He did not throw an interception somehow.
He had a fumble. He did not throw a pick. Oh my God. This was just a absolutely joke.
So I think it's Dak, Cousins, and Carr maybe are tied at this point.
Oh boy. Oh wow. Wow. Yeah, he lost the fumble, but didn't throw a pick. How about that?
We've already spent too much time in this game.
I was being a little tongue in cheek also about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, you can't upgrade them after this performance. Like, they're well coached. Doug Peterson knew he could come in and run down their throats, and that's what they did.
It's hard to take much away from this.
Game over. Chicago, Detroit. Chicago came out and gave you a great scripted offensive start to this game, and then they absolutely pulled the damn plug. That was a tank-tastic 3 quarters from the Chicago Bears.
I said I really, really wanted to play the under 52, and I just couldn't do it because I could see the Lions offense doing one of these games where they score a bunch. It got there. It got under 50. I didn't play it. I didn't bet it after all. I said I wasn't going to. I didn't. It landed on 51. Was the under deserve it?
I'm going to say yes.
I think it was marginal. Like, it wasn't like a strong, resounding yes. The Bears only had 230 yards. Like, when someone has 200,
the Bears literally pulled the plug. And if you have a lopsided game like that, that's going to go under most of the time when you have that high of a total. I think the under was right. Showing
734 total yards, which comes out to about 45 to 48 points. So
yeah, okay.
All right, we'll go with it. Not a lot of takeaways from there. Kind of a warm up game for the two. We have two.
Actually, you know what?
Loser goes home games next week. That's
I
fun.
can't believe it. It's so cool. I will say this though. You brought it up when we were chatting. Organizational malpractice.
Yeah. After Fields gets his bell rung.
I was counting how many times Fields got hit, like legitimately got hit in this game. I stopped counting at like 20. Guy got sacked 7 times. He got hit a bunch. He was getting popped every time he was running the ball. Like, why?
When you're eliminated from the playoffs and you have a young quarterback who you feel is the future, after he goes out once to check if it's a concussion,
that should be the end of his night.
Just be like,
end of his day.
Let's not play with fire here. I worry about there's two teams that I thought maybe they got the right people in place in the offseason. And now I'm not so sure. It's the Bears continuing to put Justin Fields into games that he shouldn't be playing.
Patrick's right.
And also the Giants, and I still like Dable and the coaching staff, but I'm not so sure about Shane anymore because now there's swirls around. They're going to sign Saquon and Daniel Jones to multi-year deals.
Oh my God!
Probably not how you continue to.
Are we there yet? Are we there? No. We hold that thought until we get to that game.
Yeah,
because that's mostly what I want to talk about with that game. And maybe we should just wait and talk about it with the Giants instead of handicapping Philly Giants this week on the deep dive. But
I'd hold it till Wednesday. That'll be good.
God, so many comments about that because it's a really, really tough call. They've invested an entire year of development in Daniel Jones, and so you let him walk out the door, and he goes and exercises that with some other team. You've coached. I know. That's ultimately well. So you lowball him, and if his camp calls you on the lowball, then you tag him. I think that's how this goes. I think that they're savvy. They're savvy. They're not idiots.
He's been impressive, but not multi-year deal impressive.
Yeah, no. And if you tag him and he continues to develop under this coaching staff, give him the truck, give him the bag. Fine. If he backs it up with a tougher schedule next year, give him the bag. Yeah, sure. You're going to have a more talented team next year, so you better back it up. I think, franchise tag is absolutely where this ends. If they give him a low ball and they don't take it. All right. Oh, man, we got derailed by that talk anyway. Chicago, I know, wants to get Justin Fields the rushing record. That's not a good enough reason to put him in such harm's way. He's not developing his passing game. He was 7 of 21 today for 75 yards. I mean, other than the connection he's developed with Cole Kmet, nothing about using him in these games is really doing anything for your long-term future outside of risking his health and well-being for next year being available, which is not something you want to play games with. That said, Miami, New England was a tough one. Miami covered the close. Apparently 3 points was too many. 2 was just right. 1 was not enough. Weird missed extra point caused this to fall in favor of Miami as far as the cover. And it was a late touchdown that didn't really feel deserved that got Miami and New England over the total of 41. That was a bad beat today. I will contend without any doubt.
Yeah.
There was a weird turnover that set New England up, I feel like, for their touchdown to get to 23 points in the first place too. Was it even a pick six? I can't even, it was a duper, right?
3 weeks in a row. The defense has put 6 points up on the board for the Patriots.
Yeah. Amazing. Patriots are currently your 7 seed, right?
As it sits right now, they are ahead of Miami. They're both 8-8, but they have the tiebreaker.
So basically, there are 2 buys in the AFC.
Yeah, and the Steelers can also inject themselves. This was good for the Steelers, especially if they can get the win tonight. As a 1 point road dog. There's a lot. So the Packers, Lions, Seahawks, Jaguars, Patriots, Dolphins, and Steelers will all presumably go into the Week 18 at 8-8. And of all those 8-8 teams, like 3 of them are going to get a playoff spot.
Hey, how'd Wongs do today? Seattle was a Wong. Cleveland was a Wong.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh is no longer a Wong.
No, but they did pretty well.
Those were the only 2 I saw.
Yeah, Miami kind of was at times. There were 2.5.
2.5. Yeah, that was So
you could play that one. I was going to say that's
all right,
it.
Wongs are the best. All right. Miami, New England, no other thoughts other than congratulations to New England for playing yourself to this position. I think they probably lose next week and fall out after the Bills take care of business. They just had never had the answer for the Bills, even in a win or go home sort of deal. So
everybody in the chat, again, number one, do two things. Hit the thumbs up button for Wongs because we love them. Number two, let's remember this. And so we said, Drew and I bet full amounts. And then as the season goes on, we lower that. When we do the Wongs, we're going to start at half amounts and then bring that up. It's going to be the stasis. So let's remember this. As the market gets more efficient, the Wongs start to do better, apparently. So
yes, this is lesson learned.
It's been fun. It's been
lesson,
fun 3-4 weeks.
Lesson learned the fun way, Andy.
Yeah.
All right. Denver, Kansas City was weirdly feisty. Denver, I feel like got cheated out of the win here.
Best Russell Wilson game all year.
Yeah, and there was did you see that weird penalty, offensive pass interference on Cortland Sutton? That was a very, very phantom weird shit. That felt like it swung the game. That and the Snead interception late were sort of the two key plays of the entire game. Nothing that Kansas City did in this game was like, oh, watch out for these guys. Like, this was a very sleepy game for the Chiefs. They haven't played a legit opponent or a game that has really popped for me now in a while. What was where how far back do you have to go before you can point to a contest where like they really showed us something there? I mean, at the Chargers, 30-27. I don't even think so, right?
No, there was in their first 6 weeks, they had
the Niners, 44-23.
Yeah, they had 2 or 3 games early where it's like, all right, that's like the Cardinals. Well, the Cardinals did it themselves, but then and the Bucs game too. That wasn't as close as it looks. They kind of put it on the Bucs, and then maybe the last time was that Niners. So there was 3 times early in the season, and then we haven't seen it since.
Niners were beat up in that game too. And are the Niners defense as good as we made them out to be? People are asking questions about them.
I mean, yeah, they're not anymore.
All right. Well, Kansas City, I guess it depends on who their round 1 opponent is, and they, they're still live to get the 1 seed. So if that happens, that's going to be an absolute miscarriage of justice in every way, shape imaginable. Kansas City has done nothing in my mind to really earn a 1 seed this year. What do you think?
Yeah, and I mean they played well enough. But it's not like they should be, this team should be a 1 seed. If they got the 1 seed, I wouldn't be upset. They had a nice enough season. But if they lose to Buffalo and Cincinnati and then still get the 1 seed over them both, that'll feel a little shitty.
It will be. It will feel a little shitty. Yeah, they haven't. Yeah, they've lost a lot of games to meaningful competition, and they haven't really played anyone all of a sudden. I don't know how they got the easiest schedule in the AFC somehow. Kansas City, you wouldn't have thought would have had the easiest schedule in the AFC, but yet here we are. Indianapolis Giants was a hysterical game.
That was so fun.
This was the most profitable late season game I can remember.
Fun to have an easy one. I ended up because I talked about this game with a couple different people, and I said, so people kept asking about the over. I said, maybe a Giants team total over if you want to approach the Giants a different way. So I played a little of that. That was obviously easy peasy, but
easy.
And just wire to wire. And then not much of a downgrade to Ellinger, but it's not like his upside was ever making me worried about the second half. So really nice win. Daniel Jones had a lot of rushing yards. That was maybe the story of what was really working with this offense, but it was just the turnovers and the ineptitude of the Colts that was this game. The most fucked up thing I saw all day was Nick Foles essentially having a seizure on the field and Thibodeau continuing there was players like, buddy, come on. No, we can't be doing this. What are you that was kind of fucked up, right?
Yeah, that was very fucked up. I mean, Nick Foles didn't belong out there.
No.
So I'm not that I'm making an excuse for how violent the game is, but Nick Foles didn't belong out there. The Colts are an embarrassment of a franchise and a team, and I kind of can't believe that this was under a touchdown on the close. What happened?
I kept saying that. I bet this at 5.
Again, another one with these guys. Yeah, what else do you need to see? What other evidence do you need that this is not an NFL team? Like, what you've seen to this point under Saturday is not enough.
Yeah, remember the victory laps,
yeah.
Jeff Saturday victory laps after the Raiders game?
I remember those well, Andy.
Those are dumb.
I remember those like they're burned into the back of my brain. Colts are an embarrassment. Congratulations to the Giants. Very cool to see the Giants succeed to this level. And again, like, I don't know what happens from here in with the coach of the year. I give up there. I'm prepared to lose. Wire to almost freaking wire with Sirianni. But Dable probably wake up and Dable is a meaningful favorite in that market. I wouldn't really disagree with that. Like, they have made the playoffs to the degree they can rest week 18, Andy. Who saw that with the Giants this year? This is a team. This was a team that.
This is why I don't watch the NFL sound anymore. You can't get this out of your head.
Was that a commercial today?
Whopper. Yeah, it's horrible.
I'm completely tuned out. I can't listen to it either.
I think it's like a three-way look with Shanny favored, Dable second, Sirianni right there.
Oh, I don't think Shanny's favored. I don't think he's giving you enough.
One. Wins win. Okay. That's the only stat that matters in this stupid market is wins. Team wins. All right, what's up next?
It's a three-way race, and it's probably going to depend on the second and third and fourth place votes, honestly, or second and third place votes, because there will be three votes, and I think Shanny, Dable, and Sirianni will be in some order on everyone's card, and it's going to be very, 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 very close. In fact, I wouldn't even bet that market at all, regardless of what the prices open up, because you're literally just going to sit wondering and waiting until they do the awards show Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
I don't even think that the trackers are going to get it right until the votes are truly
This is where I'm at. I'm agreeing with Femi a little too much for my liking.
So Sirianni, if he gets the one seed, which apparently he's going to, according to the market.
Yeah, but
Sirianni's getting the one seed.
Dable gets like every second place vote, right? Like
but
either I don't know. It's a tough one. We'll get to it Wednesday.
All right. Jets no showed. That was kind of surprising.
I don't know. That was part of my handicap on this. Is like Mike White's not good, and it was kind of like the Minshew thing where Minshew looked good last week.
Defense though, I didn't know it was going to be like this.
So it's been weak, but it's been weak against the run a little more. Like, they still have some decent, pieces in the secondary. And if you can take away your one receiving weapon with any sort of success, you can definitely limit a Mike White offense. So
I didn't watch any of this game. I was way glued in on the other afternoon games.
I watched most of this one, I think, because I had the under. I was hating my life watching this game, but Ishy.
Yeah. I got to revisit this one before I make any comments. I mean, maybe Geno Smith's back in the comeback play of the year market, I guess. 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a win. I don't know if that's enough.
Saquon didn't have a very good day.
He didn't have a very good day, but the Giants are going to playoffs, Andy. The Seahawks may not be.
1, 2, 3 away.
Well, San Francisco, Vegas was another weird one. It felt like Las Vegas was the better team for a lot of this game. What in the world happened to the vaunted San Francisco defense? Nick Bosa had some pressures, but no sacks. Jarrett Stidham, without take that kind of game clinching interception out of the mix there, he was pretty darn effective today. You wouldn't expect a quarterback with that little experience and with that little to play for to be that effective against a team that is tuning themselves up for a playoff run. Was this a little bit of a strip flu here for the boys in white and gold?
There was a time where Jarrett Stidham was going to be the starting quarterback of an NFL team. And as Food Snob points out, Devontae Adams, often people forget he's on the team some weeks because he doesn't do much because the team stinks, but he is a number one receiver in the NFL when he's on. He's the best receiver there is sometimes. And, I mean, he makes a big difference. I think Stidham I'm not excited about Stidham long-term, but you give him one game with a decent receiver against a defense that's banged up. I guess it's not super surprising, although The Raiders scoring 34 was not on my bingo card today.
Definitely not. Especially some of the ways that they hung in there. Like
Well,
as
what
soon
did
as
this
the
total
tide
close
started
at?
turning, you kind of figured, okay, well, this is over.
Total was 41.
41. Jesus. Easy. That was the easiest bet on the card today. That got bet down this morning. Good Lord.
This is the real take. Should have gone for 2 at the end of regulation.
Well, yeah, obviously. Very, very.
Don't play for overtime when you're horrible.
Did he have the opportunity to? I thought they were kicking field goals to tie it.
No, they scored. It was a touchdown. It was a touchdown.
Oh, you're right.
Yep.
Well, that's the other thing is if there was so much time left, there was a minute and 11 left. So if you score, if you put the whammy on your opponent with that much time, then now they're incentivized to make sure they go kick a field goal. So they're not going to necessarily run the same offense where they settle for the 41-yarder. They try to get a little closer, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a full minute left. It makes them be aggressive on fourth, but it's not like Purdy. But it's not like Purdy was great.
Right.
Also, it doesn't matter if you lose. Like lose in regulation. Don't get people hurt.
No. All right. Let's get to the main event here. The Green Bay Packers showed up, Andy. The Green Bay Packers showed up.
And the thing is, they really didn't until like halfway through the second quarter. Oh my God.
Their special teams showed up. Their defense showed up. And weirdly, after 2 years of Aaron Rodgers carrying this Green Bay Packers team to a 1 seed and getting an MVP, it is now all of the rest of the guys that are doing their jobs to elevate this team.
Ninja Turtles meme.
It is
Splinter's old.
Right. Splinter's old, and they're helping him. That's right. It's very, very Ninja Turtles meme. I don't know what's happening. This feels a little too cute that this is the way this is going. Green Bay was amazing today as a team. This was never in doubt, and I mean, they look like they believe that they are that they have a chance, and with how weak the rest of the NFC does, how do you deny them? I don't even really know what I would point at the offense and be like that they did that well, because they
weren't good. That's the thing.
It was a complete team effort.
Yeah, they weren't good. That's what happened. It was once, and I do want to talk about Minnesota because Minnesota is a playoff team. They're in. They'll host a playoff game. Mm-hmm. Minnesota, in a spot where they are behind, is a bit of a problem now. It turns out, like
unless they're playing the Colts,
you can point to like I think we have to throw out that Colts completely. Like,
I think so too.
If you're playing an actual serious NFL team, Minnesota is a they're a front runner. They looked way worse. At one point, it was 17-3, and Aaron Rodgers had like 20 yards passing. I mean, when you get to start out with a defensive and a special teams touchdown, it's just the game is a lot easier. And usually, it obviously becomes a lot harder for the other team. But I haven't seen it become that hard for anybody in a long time. Like Minnesota just looked like, oh my God, it's 50-0. We should start being really weird. Like that was a bad. This was almost the Giants Colts game. Like it was much, much more on Minnesota than on Green Bay.
Yeah,
and I will say, Rodgers had some nice drives in the second half. A lot of it was predicated on the running game, but again, when you're up by 24,
that's what you want.
You have two good running backs. So Green Bay is a front runner as well, and they're able to do it.
Yeah. 4 turnovers lost for Vikings to 0 for the Packers was a lot of the difference of this game, even beyond the special team stuff. Turns out the Vikings can't overcome losing the turnover battle 4-0. Surprise. Kirk Cousins was awful today. I think the idea of him showing you that in a high leverage game in the playoffs is keeping anyone from being in any way bullish about Minnesota getting in any kind of a playoff run. Would you agree? Even at home, he could show up and do that any day.
We haven't seen it a lot, though. We've only seen it once or twice. Where the Eagles game was not great, and then this one.
The Eagles and the Packers, just 2 teams that they're probably going to have to beat if they want to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, I don't think it's a Super Bowl team, but they could win a game or two. Like they're and people are asking if Minnesota has incentives to play anyone next week.
I can't imagine why.
Arizona, the problem with it is they would want the 2 seed, which right now is San Francisco's, but San Francisco's playing Arizona at home. Like Minnesota's a pick in Chicago for a reason because it feels like they might just rest. But the problem is, oh shit, they are all noon games because it's week 18. Yeah. Arizona, if Arizona beats the Niners, they have everything to play for. It would give them a 2 seed. It would give them an extra home game in some position. So
we're not going to know. We're not going to know the actual schedule until after tomorrow night. Is that right?
Yeah, they're all listed as early right now.
When do they decide and publish that? Do you know? Do you remember?
Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. And Femi, I was about to say this. They probably have these games at the same time, World Cup style.
Yeah, I would guess.
That incentivizes Minnesota to play good players. So if you believe that to be true, Minnesota...
Justin Jefferson can still break the receiving record.
Well, not only that, but Minnesota should, as bad as they look today, they should be more than a 1-point road favorite over the Bears.
Yeah, probably.
That should be like 4. The Bears,
especially because Fields might just not play because he might be concussed out of his skull.
Yeah.
Wow, geez, man. What are the scenarios? So I know we can we do the little playoff scenarioism here because the NFC is fixed. All of the rest of the games to be played are AFC games, so it's not nothing that can happen. The rest of this week changes next week's probabilities, right?
Nope.
Green Bay wins and they're in.
Yes.
If Detroit wins, it's whose playoff spot?
Detroit.
It's between Detroit and Seattle.
Yep. No. Seattle's eliminated.
Seattle's eliminated.
I believe
Green Bay, Detroit is winning. You're in.
Don't quote me. I thought they were eliminated today by the loss. Don't quote me on that.
Who's lost?
I think it's win. I thought it was win and get in.
Seattle won today, though.
No, I'm trying the Packers win. Oh, it depends on the Rams game.
It depends on if they beat or lose to the Rams.
Okay. All right. So Seattle needs Detroit to win. So Seattle win and Detroit. Oh my God. Seattle makes
this is really, really, really tough.
Seattle needs Green Bay to win. Green Bay wins and they're in. Detroit wins and Seattle loses. Detroit's in. Detroit wins and Seattle wins. Seattle's in.
Okay. So Detroit needs help. They can't just beat Green Bay.
No.
They need Baker Mayfield's help.
And right now Seattle is a 6.5 point favorite in that one.
Well, if you saw any of the Rams play today, you would know why. That was not a very competitive game. Another one of the same sort of things as with the Houston Texans game, which is they got a big win last week.
Yep.
They no-showed this week. Surprise. It's not a very good team. They're missing all their players. And honestly, like the cover and runaway from the Chargers, it really wasn't even that impressive. Like the Chargers, there are red flags all over the way that team is playing right now.
It's not a team I'm excited to back in the playoffs.
No, they were easy covers today too, which is crazy.
So and then just going up from there. So any of those teams, Seattle, Detroit, Green Bay would be a 7. The Giants are 1,000% locked into the 6th seed. The Cowboys are the 5 seed unless
the 14-point Tyrod Taylor New York Giants pull off the upset, right?
Yeah, so that's
what they have to beat the commies as well. Commies are the fourth place finishers in the NFC East. You can catch that. That was one of the preseason bets. I think I definitely had it at one of my accounts.
commies were eliminated.
I think we got all that right, but we'll just double check.
But Buccaneers cannot move out of the 4 seed.
They are stuck in the 4.
Minnesota would need a miracle to move up to the 2. They're probably just the 3 seed at this point. The Eagles could drop to the 5, which again,
amazing.
Anything can happen. Doesn't seem all that likely. I think the Eagles. So it's probably just Eagles. Not like how it sits right now is probably how it sits. 1 through 6. Eagles, Niners, Vikings, Bucks, Cowboys, Giants. And then
7th seed is to be determined based on
Seahawks, Lions, Packers. And then the AFC, let's dig in on that more on Wednesday once we play these next 2 games, because
I cannot believe
the Ravens games. I mean, the Ravens, Bills, and Bengals are all pretty important, and really the Steelers are live too. All 4 teams that have yet to play are going to have a hand in this playoff series.
I'll be 100% honest with you. When I made a bunch of Packers bets that were at absurd numbers, I did not expect their playoff future to be in their own destiny in week 18. I thought they were still going to need help.
They got help. They got a concussion last week.
Well, yeah, but yes, I'm not. I didn't mean like that. You know what I meant. I mean, I thought they would need other teams to be losing this. No,
week. I really kind of thought, and again, not before the game started today, but a few weeks ago, I thought, well, Washington beats the Browns, right? Like that team's not looking very good right now.
Well, then it was all of a sudden Wentz is under center, and you're like,
yeah, and not only that, and at that point too, I said, well, it's probably the Eagles have the division locked up as well, and the Cowboys have nothing to play for, so just Washington kind of gets in by winning the last 2 games, and that's that. And then the Lions are on the outside looking in as well. But no, interesting games. We didn't touch much on that Battle of Los Angeles because it didn't really matter. Like you said, Herbert was fine, wasn't great. He was pretty efficient. Eckler was great. Eckler was the story of the game. And yeah, it was similar to what we've seen on some of these arcs from bad teams. They get squirrely, they get a fun win against a team they shouldn't beat, or they get close, and then they have this huge drop off. Happens a lot.
If you're a Jags future holder, and I don't want to jinx it, they got to take care of business against the plucky Tennessee team who's well coached. They got to take care of business. Jags are not in. If you're the Jags,
how much Tennessee +7 are you have?
Exactly enough, Andy.
Yeah,
exactly enough.
I'm going to cover my stake with that.
Of course, absolutely. But let's just say that the Jags are in, for the sake of an argument. Who would you rather face between the Chargers and the Ravens?
It's. Are you having Lamar or not?
Lamar goes.
Okay, it's the Ravens if Lamar's like out for the season, but right now, if it's not, I'd way rather place the Chargers. They're so banged up still. Pipkins goes out every game. They still aren't 100% of the line. They're not 100% of the defense, and I think you have enough of a defense to kind of slow down the passing offense there. Although the Chargers, when they play a bad defense, the offense can look good at times. But I would. I'd rather play the Chargers.
Whew. And then that sets up potentially you go on the road at KC or on the road at Buffalo.
Easy peasy, guys. Those are easy wins. This team ceiling is unlimited right now.
Unlimited.
We didn't get to this right away, but right now we have a Jets game where there's no chance Tua plays, right?
I would be surprised.
So the problem is
Skylar Thompson, right?
So the problem is the Dolphins are not eliminated. That complicates this.
Yeah.
Tua's brains are pretty scrambled though, man. I would just put him on the shelf. And you're right, Charles. The number says Tua's playing, which worries me. But if Tua's not playing, what should this number be? Pick? I know it's Mike White, but Skylar Thompson's pretty rough.
He is.
So, I mean, yeah, if you're betting right now, Miami, if you're betting Jets +3.5, essentially you're betting that Tua doesn't play. So I condone that. I'm not going to be betting that right now. Like we mentioned, I will have a gob of Tennessee +7. That's not handicapping. I would love to middle that, because if I Tennessee wins straight up, I'd lose a bunch.
Plus, I think there's enough of us in that same boat that that's going to move to 6.5. It's going to move up a touchdown.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm going to bet that now.
Like, Jacksonville's great, but they have still lost some pieces. There's been attrition. Dobbs is more capable passer.
So it was always the plan, but I assumed I'd have to bet bet Tennessee minus or plus 4.5.
I know, same.
Like
yeah.
I really thought I was going to be betting a bad one.
Yeah. Same.
All right, should we rip quick? Tampa, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Tampa's going to rest players because they have nothing to play for. Atlanta's a 7.5-point favorite. I'd take Tampa in that.
Sure.
Buffalo's a 10-point favorite over New England has nothing to play for now too.
Well, New England is in if they win. Right now, the 7th seed, New England is winning in. But
okay, maybe that's down. Maybe that's not on the board right now.
It's not on the board, but there. Okay. I mean, it's on some.
I'm looking at an old odds screen. The Vikings game is interesting because if they do play players, I think that's 1-2. You could take a risky bet on Minnesota because
I think you can too.
That should be the other side of 3 if that's truly. I know it's not up at Chris. But
Minnesota does tend to suck in Chicago, but Chicago's defense is not playing football right now.
Yeah.
Buffalo
cannot clinch the 1 seed this week. They will.
No, they need to win. Yeah.
And there's no do we really want the 1 seed, guys? Yeah, the bye is so important.
Very much. Yes.
And as James pointed out, it's a must-lose game for the Bears as well. As
it is.
Teams are hot on their heels for that 2 seed. And by 2 seed, I mean second pick. There's like 4 teams that have 4 wins, so you don't want to be dropping down to like 5. Buddy.
Chargers 3-point favorites at Denver feels correct. 3.5, I would take Denver. San Francisco 13-point favorites at Arizona is a Passaroonski. Houston, Indy is kind of funny.
If it's Colt McCoy, I might take the 13.
Andy, am I fucking tripping balls, or is
you look like you are maybe in that sweater?
Is Indianapolis laying 3 points against an NFL team?
So that argument's predicated on, are we calling Houston an NFL team? We just shit on their arc and how dead in the water they are right now. You need to just wipe that game from like Men in Black, Minority Report, whatever. Just wipe that game from your memory. Don't even think about betting. I know that it's an Indy fade is fun, but you can't do it with Houston.
Dude.
Houston, you're gonna bet Houston on the road. I don't care if they're getting.
This looks like the gift of the entire slate in Week 18. 3? That's crazy,
Houston.
man.
It's Houston.
Did you watch the Colts today?
No,
Sam Ellinger is going to be going.
Watch some of the Houston game too. So Houston, if the Bears lose, the Bears would be 3-14. If Houston wins, they would be 3-13-1. So Houston has clinched the top pick in the NFL draft at this point.
Yeah. So
they can just get weird with it. The Bears have lost 9 in a row, by the way.
And doing it in weird fashion.
I was a little worried about the goddamn win total on that team.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out it cleared by 3.5.
Yeah. Ooh, man, this is a weird one, man. I don't like that.
Schwartz is pointing out, yeah, there was some money on Houston throughout the week here and there. Like, have fun with that. That's what I'm saying, Drew. I don't care if it's the Colts.
Okay.
Save that money for the NBA. Save it for the playoffs. You know what?
Okay.
Oh shit. I bet on Tulane today, and then I didn't watch college basketball. Did Tulane cover?
I don't know. I was our guy Brinks got me on Siena St. Bernard's.
The Bisons.
Siena St. Bernard's twice in a row.
Siena Bison.
No, the Saints, baby. They got that 6 St. Bernard logo.
Different one.
Yeah.
Tulane covered in overtime.
Oh
God! I'm glad I didn't pay attention.
Nice work, man. Classic. Oh jeez, this I don't think I'm really itching to get involved in any of these other games this week. Let's talk about Buffalo Cincy and let's call it a pod.
Yep. I bet Buffalo
Bills
-1
should be favored by 3.
That's where I'm at. It's funny. I said that when I talked to Jimmy on Tuesday. I said the same thing. I said my number's like 3. I don't.
Yeah.
I'll take a cheap one, I guess. I could be wrong.
It's moved in the direction of Cincinnati.
Yep.
And my original take on this game was team with the ball last wins. If you can get Cincinnati into an advantage teaser, then that might be the most fun way to enjoy what is going to be a very fun game. But now I think no, this is Buffalo or pass. Buffalo is the side here. I think the Cincinnati defense has sustained some meaningful attrition. The secondary is not good enough to match up against an elite player like Josh Allen, the way they are currently rostered. The pass rush and what they're trying to do, getting pressure with, 3 or 4 is not going to work. If you give Allen time, if Allen's running amok in this game, then the Buffalo offense, I think, is going to look quite good. Buffalo's defense matches up decently well. You have some elite safety play, a good, healthy roster of cornerbacks right now. Every advantage I see in this one is small, and it is ticking the Buffalo Bills box.
Yep. I don't have Cincinnati as a great defense against the pass right now, so I did take some Bills in this one. And I will, if we do see a really game, I do like Cincinnati from behind, especially against anyone that's not, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the best secondary. Who's your best secondary right now? I would say my best secondary is probably, a healthy Niners team is
the best secondary in the NFL.
You're currently rostered,
that's tough.
The Cowboys took a big step back. The Niners have taken a step back. Honestly, Washington was kind of top 10 for a little bit for me. The Chargers when healthy, the Saints when healthy.
With Lattimore out there, Saints were pretty.
Saints are up there. If you're not one of those 3 or 4 teams that I consider really elite secondary, I love Joe Burrow from behind. I'm hoping we get Buffalo to get out to like a 15-point lead.
You love Joe Burrow from behind.
Jesus, Drew. Honestly, it's sexuality is a spectrum. I'd probably give him a try. I'm kidding. I'm married, Drew. The sanctity of holy matrimony. No, but
I don't know. There's kind of not any good secondaries.
No, there's not. That's what I'm saying. So, the Bengals are a good team when they're trailing. I will stop saying from behind now. So when trailing, I would be looking to middle this. If God willing, and the creek don't rise, if I can get Buffalo up by 2 touchdowns, I will try to middle this game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Buffalo is elite, and they're going to be putting on a show in this one. I'm excited to see this.
Joe Burrow. All right. Is the game started? It's got to be close.
Let's go watch.
I think we're kicking off. We're kicking off right now. Who do you think wins this? Steelers by
3.
4.
4, okay. 20-16-ish? 21-17?
15-11. Not
15-11.
Not scoregami, by the way.
No, all right. 15-11 is not scoregami? How do you know that?
I don't know. I just said it.
It sounds scoregamish.
I'm going to look it up now.
15-11, I feel like, is a scoregami.
All right. 15-11 is scoregami. There has been a 15-9, a 15 to. There's been a 15-14. That makes sense. I'm all over this. 15-3, of course.
15-11.
15-9 is a fun one. All right.
We have never had a 15-15 tie.
No, that would be something, wouldn't it? That would give us the win on Steelers against the spread, though.
All right, guys. Packers take care of business. I cannot believe we are here, but we are here.
Teddy broke his finger. Yeah, we weren't.
Yeah, he's not going to play, I don't think.
I can't cover that way.
No, good. You can't. It doesn't matter how many gloves you wear. When they called him these 2 gloves. It was a while ago.
Fuck it. I'm going to go see if somebody has Jets up.
Do you remember when Teddy started a playoff game for the Vikings?